I wake up before the alarm. That's the first thing that feels wrong. My body reacts like it has somewhere important to be, even though my mind hasn't caught up yet. The ceiling above me is unfamiliar, too clean, too expensive, too quiet. For a second, I try to remember my own name. It doesn't come. Another one does instead. Heavier, sharper. I am Jude Bellingham. The realization doesn't arrive with excitement. It arrives like paperwork being dropped on my chest. There's a phone on the bedside table. It's already buzzing. Messages stacked on messages. Trainers, physios, PR, club staff. People who don't ask if I'm available. They assume I am. Before I say a word, the day has already been organized around me. I swing my legs off the bed and feel the pull in my hamstring. Not imagined.
Real. February 2026. The injury everyone has an opinion about. A month out, maybe more. I haven't trained today, and yet the world is waiting to know how my body feels. That feels backwards. I'm used to my body being private. This one is public property. In the mirror, the face looking back is young in a way that feels almost ironic. 16 years old and 38 days. Birmingham City. A stat that follows me like a warning label. Dortmund after that. Germany before adulthood. Player of the season. Real Madrid before I'd properly lived anywhere long enough to miss it. People say these things like milestones. They don't say what gets skipped. Someone knocks. They don't wait for an answer. Coffee appears, supplements, a schedule. Access opens by default. Doors don't ask who I am. They already know. The name does the talking. Rules soften around it. Time rearranges itself. That's the part that unsettles me. I haven't earned this authority, not today. I didn't train for it. I didn't grow into it. I just woke up inside it. And everyone around me is responding to a version of me that feels years ahead of where my head is standing. I'm treated like a leader. England at 17. World Cups, Euros. The armband hovering nearby even when it's not on my arm. Leadership without rehearsal. Composure as expectation, not achievement. On the dresser, there are contracts I didn't sign with my hands but carry with my face. Adidas, Lucozade, Louis Vuitton. A video game cover. EA Sports FC, my name printed for people who've never heard my voice. A brand built faster than a childhood ever could be. I notice something else, quietly. No one here expects uncertainty from me. No one asks if I feel young, or tired, or unfinished. Growing up didn't wait for permission. It never does. And once it's gone, form isn't the first thing you lose. It's time. Apparently, it always is. I decide not to train. That alone feels like a violation. The schedule assumes compliance. Recovery protocols, monitored rehab, carefully timed statements about progress. Instead, I text the physio that I'm fine and then do nothing that looks productive. Within minutes, someone asks if I'm okay. Not physically, optically. I leave the hotel without a jacket that signals club business. No escort, no announcement. Just me, moving slowly, testing the hamstring because I can, because it's my body for this one day. A photo still appears online before I've finished crossing the street. Someone captions it. Bellingham spotted amid injury concerns. I haven't said a word yet. The sentence exists anyway. I stop at a cafe and pay in cash. That's not symbolic. It's avoidance. I don't want a receipt that turns into a brand alignment. The barista recognizes me but doesn't ask for a photo. That silence feels heavier than attention. I tip more than makes sense. Later, that becomes a rumor about secret generosity. It wasn't that. It was discomfort. I open my phone and post something unscheduled. No graphic, no emoji strategy.
Just a sentence about being tired of pretending that growing up early doesn't cost anything. I don't name clubs. I don't name people. I don't mention injuries. It's still interpreted as a message. To Madrid, to England, to management, to sponsors. Analysts on TV argue about my tone. I didn't raise my voice. They supply one. A call comes in asking me to delete it. Another asking me to clarify it. A third warning me how silence can also be read as escalation. I leave it up. Not because it's brave, because I want to watch what happens when honesty isn't optimized. I visit a youth training ground without cameras. I don't tell anyone beforehand. I don't give a speech. I sit on the sideline and talk to a kid who reminds me of Birmingham, too focused, already careful with his words. I tell him nothing inspirational. I tell him that being young and good at something makes adults hurry you. That nobody tells you what gets rushed past. Someone recognizes me anyway. A parent posts a photo. Headlines follow. Bellingham mentors next generation. The club releases a statement distancing itself from unauthorized appearances. What I did becomes either charity or insubordination. It can't be neutral. In the afternoon, I answer a journalist's question directly. Not live, off the record, which I now understand means wait and see. I say it's strange to be treated like a leader before feeling like a person. I say injuries scare me less than expectations do. I don't complain. I don't attack. I just don't smooth the edges. The quote runs without context. Pundits debate my mentality. A former player calls it weakness. Another calls it maturity. Both sound confident. Neither asks. I skip a sponsor appearance. That triggers more reaction than anything else. A missed photo op becomes a breach. My team reframes it as rest-focused decision-making. I don't correct them. I'm learning how reality edits itself around influence. You don't need to lie. You just need to stand still and let others adjust the story. In the evening, I go live for 7 minutes. No announcement, no lighting. I talk about the hamstring because it's there. I talk about Dortmund because it's where I learned to be watched. I talk about Madrid because pressure doesn't arrive louder, it arrives earlier. I don't ask for sympathy. I don't offer solutions. The comments explode. Fans thank me for honesty I didn't package. Critics accuse me of distraction. Someone says I'm damaging the brand. I am the brand, apparently, and also a risk to it. I end the live abruptly. That becomes another headline. As night comes, I feel the weight of how easily my actions bent meaning all day. Buying coffee, sitting quietly, speaking plainly, none of it stayed small. Power didn't amplify my truth, it replaced it with projections. Tomorrow, this ends. I give the name back. The access disappears. The rules harden again. What stays with me isn't the chaos. It's how quickly people decided who I was allowed to be, and how little space there was for anything unfinished. The last hours stretch out in a strange way. Nothing dramatic happens, no statements, no final gesture. The day just starts to thin. Messages slow down. The urgency fades first, before the access does. People still answer quickly, but not instantly anymore. I notice the difference because I'm looking for it now. This is what power actually feels like. Not loud, not thrilling, just frictionless. And once you've felt frictionless movement, even a little resistance feels like loss. I sit alone and realize how carefully this life must be lived. Not because of danger, but because of permanence. Every sentence archived, every pause interpreted, every injury, like the hamstring still pulling faintly when I stand, treated as a public event. Pain here doesn't stay in the body, it travels. I think about how early everything started. Birmingham at 16.
Germany before most people leave home. England at 17, expected to sound like a captain while still learning how to be quiet. I borrowed all of that history today without paying its cost. Tomorrow it goes back to the person who actually earned it and keeps paying for it. What surprised me most wasn't the pressure to perform, it was the pressure to regulate myself constantly. Not to feel less, but to show less, to turn down honesty before it turns into risk. Fame doesn't erase problems, it replaces them with monitoring. You don't solve things, you manage how visible they are. There's a quiet joke in that. For one day I could say almost anything and people called it courage. Live inside this permanently, and the same sentence becomes a liability review. I check the phone again. Fewer notifications now. Still enough to remind me how conditional this all is. Influence doesn't fade gradually. It shuts off. Tomorrow, my words won't soften rules. Doors won't open by default. No one will ask how my body feels before deciding what it means. That should feel relieving. It does. And it doesn't. Because once you've seen how uneven power is, how easily it's granted, how quickly it's withdrawn, you don't go back unchanged. I'll return to a normal life with a clearer sense of where the edges are, of who gets listened to, of how young people disappear inside expectations long before they fail. The clock moves closer to midnight. I feel the name loosening its grip. Jude Bellingham becomes someone else again, someone I'm no longer allowed to be. The unsettling part isn't losing the power. It's realizing how much of it was never really mine to begin with. Disclaimer. This video is a fictional, satirical thought experiment. The story, narration, and events presented do not represent the real thoughts, actions, intentions, beliefs, or private life of Jude Bellingham. Any resemblance to real situations is used purely as a narrative device. This work is not a biography, documentary, or claim about real individuals. Its purpose is to explore themes of fame, power, influence, and public perception as social commentary, examining how authority and attention can distort meaning, rather than to portray or judge the real person behind the public name.